Intellectual enlightenment, the courage to be wrong. Welcome, thinker. Welcome, seeker. Let's talk about something rarely taught and often feared, the willingness to be wrong. Intellectual enlightenment does not begin when you accumulate facts. It begins the moment you realize that your current worldview, no matter how polished, no matter how cherished, might be incomplete or even false. You must be willing to reconsider, to entertain what contradicts your beliefs, not to agree with it blindly, but to test it honestly, to examine it without ego and ask, if this is true, what else might I be missing? True intelligence isn't measured by how much you know. It's measured by how open you are to knowing differently. There is a subtle kind of arrogance in assuming you've arrived, that your view of reality is complete. But wisdom, real wisdom, comes not from defending your conclusions, but from constantly testing the assumptions that built them. In a world where social algorithms feed us agreement, where echo chambers feel like comfort, we are trained to seek confirmation, not contradiction. But enlightenment lives in contradiction. That uncomfortable, unsettling moment when an idea pierces your certainty, when a piece of evidence dares to shake the scaffolding you've built your identity upon. And in that moment, you are presented with a choice. You can protect your ego, or you can expand your mind. Most choose the former, because being wrong feels like death to the self. It feels like loss. But to the enlightened mind, being wrong is rebirth. It's expansion. It's a sign that the mind is still alive, still growing, still curious. Intellectual enlightenment is not passive. It is not a peaceful float down the river of knowledge. It is a fire, a disciplined furnace where bias is burned away, where comfort is sacrificed in service of clarity. It demands that you ask hard questions of yourself. What if my political stance is more emotional than rational? What if my moral compass is borrowed, not forged? What if I've mistaken agreement for truth? What if the story I tell myself about myself is only a story? This is not easy work, but it is necessary. Because without this inner questioning, you become trapped in a hall of mirrors. You see your beliefs reflected back at you and call it reality. But the mind must be willing to break mirrors, to leave the theater of comfort and walk into the wilderness of uncertainty. That's where growth happens. The enlightened individual is not a sage on a mountaintop. They are a warrior of the intellect, braving the discomfort of opposing views, refining truth through challenge. They are not afraid to say, I was wrong, because they know that every admission of error is a deeper alignment with reality. They are not threatened by someone smarter. They are intrigued, because enlightenment doesn't fear comparison. It welcomes calibration. The goal is not to win arguments. The goal is to seek understanding and be transformed by it. You cannot enlighten the world until you have first dared to illuminate yourself. You cannot demand honesty from others until you have faced the half-truths you live within. And so I ask you, what have you never questioned because it felt too sacred? What beliefs have gone unchallenged because they made you feel safe? Are you willing to think beyond what flatters you? Are you willing to change your mind if the evidence compels you? Are you willing to be free if freedom costs you your identity? This is the path of intellectual enlightenment, not pride, not certainty, but courageous humility. It's not easy, but it is worth it, because when you no longer need to be right, you become something better. You become real. You become the kind of mind the world needs, not loud but clear, not rigid but grounded, not defensive but discerning. And from that place, you stop reacting. You start revealing. You become a mirror, not to flatter, but to awaken. So let the awakening begin. Challenge everything, including this. Welcome to intellectual enlightenment.